What's going on, everybody? It's Cooper from the Back Pins. We're going to do a little YouTube video today for you guys, and it's going to be a one-round PBR mock draft. As most of you probably know, if you're watching this, the draft is coming up on Monday, May 23rd. And so we're going to do a little practice run through exercise. It's fun to make your own ideas about it. If you're an NFL fan, you've probably seen a bunch of these mock drafts leading up to their draft that happened at the end of April. They're everywhere leading up to that thing. And that's what we're going to do here. It's just going to be one round. So I've made picks for each of the teams. I tried to make it as entertaining as I could. It's not what I would consider chalk, in my opinion. I did kind of make some picks that hopefully get some discussion going. And I'm excited about it. I'm excited to hear what you guys think. Maybe you think my picks just suck. I mean, let me know. That's what it's for. It creates a fun discussion, kind of lets you put your general manager hat on for a second and think about what you think they should do. And that's what makes this so fun. So let's get right into it. Also, before we get into the picks, guys, I just want to say we're recording this before the second weekend of the PBR finals, just so you're aware. Things can change. Guys could get hurt later this week. You never know. So this was recorded after the first weekend and before the second weekend of the PBR finals. With the first overall pick, the Austin Gamblers, led by Michael Gaffney, 1997 PBR world champ, the G-Man, and they're going to take Jose Vitor Leme. Now, Jose is not number one in the world right now. I believe he's sitting fifth going into the second weekend of the PBR finals, but to me, that doesn't matter. This guy is a machine. He can ride bulls really good that go into his hand. He can ride them away from his hand, hard to track. It doesn't matter. This guy can get the job done on any kind of bull. And his rider over bull score just stands out to me. When he rides bulls, he dominates them most of the time. And in a team scenario, when it comes right down to it, yeah, it's about getting 5 bulls rode in any individual matchup you have, or game, I think is what they're calling it. But when you have a guy who is honestly somewhat consistently getting 2 to 3 points above the bull or more, that's a guy that I want on my team, because he's going to be the difference. If the other team rides all 5, but we get higher scores, we win. So I just think it's hard to look past this guy. It hasn't been the best season for him. Well, and I say that with a grain of salt. The guy's sitting fifth in the world, and people are like, well, this isn't the Jose we've seen the last 2 years, but this guy is really, really talented. And in my opinion, is probably going to go down as one of the greatest to ever do it, if not the greatest, as long as he stays healthy. And I think he's a great fit for the Austin Gamblers. With the second overall pick, the Nashville Stampede, led by Justin McBride, 2-time PBR world champ, current CBS sports commentator. They are going to take Kayike Pacheco. Now, Kayike is in the thick of that world title race. I believe he's sitting third still, if I'm not mistaken. He did come down off one the first weekend of the PBR finals, but this guy is just rock solid. There's nothing to really pick apart in his game. He can ride bulls that go either way. It doesn't matter what they do. And I think the thing about him that really adds value to a team is his emotions. They don't go crazy. He stays rock solid, kind of just rides in the middle. He doesn't get super high, doesn't get super low. And in a team sport, that's huge. If you have guys that ride that emotional roller coaster all the time, it's great when they're high, but when they're low, their lows tend to be really low. And this guy doesn't do that. He's a world champion. He could win another one this year. Depends on what happens the second weekend of the PBR finals. Now, I do know he has a little bit of a broken foot, but I don't think it's serious. He's still riding with it and everything. So that's just something we'll have to monitor going forward. But when you watch the televised broadcast with Justin McBride in it, the way he talks about this guy, I could definitely see him wanting Kayike, and who wouldn't? I don't blame him. Kayike is going to be one of the highest picks in this draft, no doubt about it. And McBride obviously thinks really high of him. And I think Kayike is a great fit for the Nashville Stampede. With the third overall pick, the Texas Rattlers, led by Cody Lambert, legend of the game, select Dalen Swearingen. So I believe right now Dalen's sitting first in the world and going into the second weekend of the PBR finals. you can't really pick apart Dalen too much. He may struggle a little bit at going away from his hand, but into his hand, this guy is a machine. He put up a big time bull ride on Big Black the other night. This guy is not afraid to sling his spurs at him. He's not going to back down from any kind of bull. He's an old school, gritty, tough guy. And to me, that fits right with what Cody Lambert wants. Obviously, he came from an older era, which most of these coaches did, but Cody was around in the 80s, back when the old saying, when the men were made of steel and the chutes were made of wood kind of deal, he was around in that era. And those guys really took pride in just being gritty and tough. And Dalen's kind of a throwback to that on top of the talent. And this guy is not going to back down from adversity. And this guy, to me, just is going to be a great fit for the Texas Rattlers. With the 4th overall pick, the Kansas City Outlaws, led by J.W. Hart, select Dalton Castle. So this one might surprise some people. Dalton's, I think, sitting like 7th or 8th right now. So he technically probably still has a mathematical shot at the world title, but he would need a lot of things to go his way. And I'm not even sure if that's enough, to be honest. But hear me out on this one. J.W. Hart is as old school as it gets. He is not going to pick somebody that he doesn't think is tough, gritty, or is going to back away from certain bulls, or maybe not try to get out of the chute as hard as they should on some bulls. If there's a guy like that, I can almost assure you J.W. Hart does not want him on his team. He's going to want guys that when they run Godzilla underneath there, they're going to raise their hand and say, pick me, because I want to be the one to twist this bad one. And Dalton Castle is exactly that guy. All these guys at this level are tough, and all of them are not afraid of the dragon, so to speak. But there's guys that stand out in that department, and this is one of them. Dalton is a throwback. This guy's tough. He will take a whipping and keep on ticking. And like I said, if you have 5 bulls to choose from and you get one in there that's one guys really don't like, Dalton Castle's raising his hand saying, pick me because I'm going to go ride him. He's a great fit for J.W. Hart and the Kansas City Outlaws. And I do expect in one way or the other that Dalton Castle ends up on the Outlaws. But now that we're halfway through this draft, let's take a break and talk about Rank Ride Fantasy a little bit. If you enjoy what we're doing here and you think it'd be fun to go through this exercise yourself, check out Rank Ride Fantasy at www.rankridefantasy.com. I will link their social medias in the description below, because that's exactly what they're allowing you to do. They're giving you the opportunity to become a GM and say, okay, I want this guy on my team. I want Jose Vitor Leme. I want Kaique Pacheco. I want Connor Halverson or whoever. It doesn't matter. You are in control of your destiny with the Rank Ride Fantasy game. You can put your bull riding knowledge to the test and win some money doing it. Why wouldn't you want to play it? Anytime you have skin in the game, it makes watching anything more exciting. If I was just at a Rangers game last night and I had to throw something on it because it makes it that much more exciting. You got something to cheer for. Rank Ride gives you that opportunity. It's fun. It creates the friendly rivalry amongst your buddies and bragging rights. Who doesn't like that? So if you like this idea and you want to act like a general manager, check out Rank Ride Fantasy at www.rankridefantasy.com. With the 5th overall pick, the Missouri Thunder, led by Luke Snyder and Ross Coleman, select Mauricio Moreira. Mauricio's right in the thick of that title race as well. He's had a really solid year, and this is a younger guy that I think is really talented. He put up a monster ride in the first weekend of the PBR finals on Jive Turkey. This guy's really good into his hand. He can struggle a little bit away from his hand, but pretty much all these guys do. That's not that abnormal. There's only a handful of guys that I truly think are even remotely close to percentage-wise, numbers-wise, success rate away from their hand as they are into their hand. And they're always going to be less. That's just the sport. And with these coaches being able to pick these bulls for these guys, they're definitely going to look at that kind of thing when they're picking matchups. So, yes, one directional isn't a great thing, but the coach can kind of work around that and give the guy a bull that will fit that style more or less most of the time. So Mauricio's a solid pick, and I think he's a good cornerstone piece for any team. You got to hit on your first round pick. If you whiff on your first round pick, it's tough to come back from that. And I don't think this guy's a whiff by any stretch of the imagination. I think he'd be a great fit for the Missouri Thunder. The Arizona Ridge Riders, led by Colby Yates and Paulo Crimber, select Joao Ricardo Vieira. So with the Brazilian connection, Paulo being a coach, I just think this is a great fit. JRV, dominant into his hand. This guy's not going to buck off very many bulls that go to the left. Tends to struggle away from his hand quite a bit. But like I said, they'll match him up with bulls that fit him, and he's going to deliver. This guy, for how old he is, he's amazing. This guy at 37 rides better than a lot of the young 20-year-olds on tour. So seasoned veteran, he can give you a veteran presence in the locker room, which I also think is a huge thing for these teams, because there's a lot of younger guys out there that are going to get a shot at this thing that are really talented, but maybe they just need some fine tuning on some things. JRV can provide that on top of what he's going to deliver in the arena. To me, he's a slam dunk first round pick, and he'd be a great fit in Arizona. With the 7th overall pick, the Carolina Cowboys, led by Jerome Davis, select Eli Vastbinder. So a little bit of home cooking here. Eli's a North Carolina guy, really talented, won the World Finals in 2021, been a top 10, pretty much top 10 guy for most of this year. And to me, he's a Jerome Davis fit. Jerome's going to know a lot about him from watching him grow as a kid. And Eli is just solid, rock solid. He's not really super flashy when he rides, but he can get the job done on a lot of them that a lot of guys don't get along with. And he's not afraid to throw them spurs around either when he's really tapped off. So I think Eli's a rock solid pick. He's been to the NFR. He's been on a bunch of big stages, obviously riding in the PBR. I just think Eli's a rock solid pick, gives you a little bit of a veteran presence as well for those younger guys. And obviously, this guy's tough. If you watch the 2021 PBR World Finals, this guy was in some serious pain and was able to block it out and get the job done. And from a first round pick, I want a guy like that. I want a guy when the cards are stacked against him, he pushes all his chips to the center and says, I'm all in. And to me, that's what makes him a great first round pick. And I think he'd look great on the Carolina Cowboys roster. And with the last pick in the first round, 8th overall, the Oklahoma Freedom, led by former guest on the show, Cord McCoy, select Luciano de Castro. Luciano's been having a really solid year. He wasn't even on tour to start the year. And I think now I just looked, he's in like the top 6 or 7, or maybe even higher than that. He's up there. And for a guy to not be on tour till probably February to get that high up in the standings, that shows you he's getting the job done. You know, he can ride bulls into his hand like pretty much every Brazilian can. And he even can ride away from his hand a little bit for a Brazilian guy, which is good to see because that means you don't have to give him something that's going to go into his hand when you're looking at picking bulls and matching up riders with certain bulls. And anytime you can get a top 5 guy in the standings or a top 7 on your team, it's probably going to be a good thing. I think he's relatively healthy, and getting matched up with Cord's probably going to be one of the best, what you'd call player coaches in this thing, in this league series, team series, because he's so positive. You know, he's going to expect you to do what you need to do and work hard and all that. But he's also going to help raise you up if you are on a low spot, if you're struggling a little bit in a slump. He's going to do everything he can to help you get out of that in the most positive way possible. I think that's valuable for a rider. He's not going to try to destroy your confidence, which none of these guys are, but they have different ways of going about it. JW Hart, he's going to be a little bit more of a in your face kind of guy, you know, don't be a wussy kind of deal. And Cord is going to expect those same qualities, but his message is going to be delivered a little bit differently. I think it's a slam dunk pick for Cord and the Freedom to get this talented of a guy at the 8th overall pick. And that'll wrap it up, guys. I'll show on the screen here a recap of all the picks of the first round. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you think about it. I just figured it'd be something a little different. And with the draft being as exciting as it is, I had to do some content with it. If you like it, let me know. Let me know what picks you liked and didn't like as well. Let's get some discussion going in the comments. It's always appreciated. And I will link all of our social medias in the description below, as well as Rank Ride Fantasy. Make sure you get over there and check them out, guys. It's a really fun way to watch along with the bull riding and have some skin in the game, as well as get a chance to win some money. So it's never a bad thing. It's really fun. I promise you, if you give it a shot, you won't be disappointed. But until next time, guys, have a great one and come back and visit us again from the back pans.